There are few people who are not familiar with the face of Frankie Muniz. Famous since he was a young man, this actor leads an apparently dream life, crowned with early success and awards of all kinds. In reality, his life has not been the smoothest, and several dramas have deeply shaken his path. Frankie Muniz was born on December 5, 1985 in New Jersey to a Puerto Rican father and a mother of Italian and Irish descent. In 1989, the family moved to North Carolina. Her older sister, Christina, would unknowingly play a key role in her destiny. It was in this ordinary, quiet and happy family that Frankie Muniz grew up, developing his taste for acting, and perhaps already his talent. In fact, by the age of 8, Frankie had often seen his sister Christina perform small roles in a local theater, and it was through her that this child prodigy developed a passion for acting, and for the art of comedy in general. It is clear that nothing could have thwarted this nascent inclination in Frankie Muniz. His sister having shown him the way to happiness, the future actor embarked on it without having to face the obstacles that present themselves to precocious artists. On the contrary, his whole family was behind him. Frankie Muniz started out as an extra in TV commercials and then appeared in a few films, such as To Dance with Olivia and What the Deaf Man Heard, which aired in 1997. At that time, there were plenty of opportunities for the talented Frankie. With this promising success, his mother decided to take him out of school and teach him herself at home. His mother's decision allowed the young actor to have less demanding days and to accept several roles. Frankie Muniz understood that a lot of practice was needed, and instead of attending a conservatory for classical training, he learned on the job, playing various small roles. This was the winning method, because the acting jobs followed one another. Little by little, he made a name for himself in the world of television, and when he played in Lost and Found, in 1997, his face became even more familiar to millions of Americans. At the age of 11, his parents had separated, and Frankie Muniz had to live with his mother, who continued to teach and educate him. It was already clear at that time that Frankie Muniz would become a great actor. His early career was prolific, like all actors who become famous. In 1998, he appeared in the series Spin City and Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, and obtained roles on the big screen, in the film My Dog Skip, in 2000. It was in the same year that Frankie Muniz got the role that would propel him to worldwide fame, Malcolm in the Middle. In this well-known sitcom, Frankie Muniz plays the central character, Malcolm, a gifted child, whose mother is hysterical and whose father is irresponsible. The comedy of the series lies in the often burlesque exposition of the daily life of this crazy and extravagant family. As you probably know, this series is distinguished by the originality of the hero's asides. Indeed, Malcolm often turns to the viewer to describe his impressions in various situations. There is a particularity more in this series. It is that in 7 seasons, we could never know the name of this family. When Bryan Cranston, who plays Malcolm's father, was questioned, he often answered, "Our last name is no last name. If this family does not have a family name, it is done on purpose, so that they are not related to any ethnic or religious group." This series, as we all know, is a hit on all levels. In the United States as well as in France, the series Malcolm has been followed, acclaimed and acclaimed. Throughout the seasons, its audience has remained faithful to it. Frankie Muniz contributed a lot to this consecration, with his vulnerability and wide-eyed innocence, as the journalist Peter Stack of the San Francisco Chronicle said. He played such a major role in the triumph of this series that in 2004 he was one of the highest-paid children in the world. In fact, as soon as he got his driver's license, he bought himself a beautiful Porsche Speedsters. Because hold on, during the first few seasons of Malcolm, Frankie earned a salary of $30,000 per episode. That's $480,000 for the first season, $750,000 for the second season and $660,000 for the third season. For the fourth, fifth and sixth seasons, he earned $75,000 per episode. That's $4.95 million for those 3 seasons. In the final season, Frankie earned $150,000 per episode. That's $3.3 million. If you add it all up, Frankie earned about $10.15 million in base salaries for the first few episodes of Malcolm alone. In addition, his involvement in the series Malcolm did not prevent him from playing various roles in television and film, for example in the 2 chapters of Agent Cody Banks and in Deuces Wild. When the series Malcolm ended in 2006, Frankie Muniz decided to retire from filming in order to devote himself to other activities, including one of his great passions, car racing. Because the young actor is also a racing driver, and he devoted himself to this hobby for many years. Starting in Formula BMW, a beginner's discipline, he then moved on to Formula Atlantic, a North American race car championship where he finished quite well ranked and with a small bonus at the end. This evolution took place over 4 years, and even afterwards, the young prodigy did not stop progressing in this sport, both in his mastery and in his ranking. Unfortunately, this passion has not brought him only joy. If you thought until now that Frankie Muniz had only enjoyed the finer things in life, wealth, success and freedom, it's not quite true. The young prodigy left filming for a while to devote himself to motor racing. But in 2009, the drama feared by every driver happened. Frankie Muniz suffered an accident that broke his back, as he would say himself. He was rushed to the Arizona hospital. He was the victim of a mini-stroke, or more precisely a transient ischemic attack, an anomaly that will leave him with certain after effects. It is important to know that transient ischemic attack or TIA can lead to chronic neurological deficits in critical cases. TIA, like stroke, occurs suddenly and its symptoms, which can last up to 6 minutes, are alarming. A person who suffers a TIA usually has blurred vision, difficulty moving his or her face and slurred speech. A blood clot forms and slows down blood flow, causing brain failure. Unfortunately, Frankie Muniz was not spared from this, especially since a year later he was again victim of the same evil, another mini-stroke. This double accident a year apart had quite painful consequences for the actor, who once said, "I am 31 years old but in the old and creaky body of a 71-year-old man. If, to date, only 2 mini-strokes are reported, we are entitled to doubt this number," because the actor said in 2017, on the set of Dancing with the Stars, "I had 9 concussions and my share of strokes. And as you can imagine, the aftermath is certainly not small." You won't believe what's happening to Frankie now. He suffers from terrible memory loss, so much so that he barely remembers his years on the set of the Malcolm series. Just imagine, Frankie Muniz, the superstar that we all admired, today barely remembers that he was the great Malcolm. In fact, he even said that after reviewing the entire series with his wife Paige Price, he realized that he couldn't remember most of the scenes in which he appeared. If he managed to remember some moments, on the other hand, he had no trace of what he thought or felt at that time. It is also important to know that memory loss is often caused by strokes that are asymptomatic. These are strokes that are silent, and it is their frequency that causes neuronal damage. These strokes affect the hippocampus, which is the seat of memory, and over time lead to cognitive decline, all without the victim noticing. In addition, the decline in cognitive performance is less noticeable than other consequences of stroke, such as hemiplegia, making follow-up and treatment even more difficult. If the stroke damages a very small part of the brain can restructure itself, thanks to its plasticity, and compensate for the deficiencies. But if the brain is affected in a strategic area, then the damage is irreversible and much more extensive. Fortunately, for Frankie Muniz, we are still far from this critical situation. Moreover, it has been proven in a study that the consequences of a stroke are more serious in the unoccupied subject. In short, the more you work your brain, the better you are after a stroke. And Frankie Muniz is not a man lacking in activity. On the contrary, he is involved in several projects, personal, professional, commercial and humanitarian. Not bad for a young man in a creaking body. You can surely imagine that Frankie Muniz's memory lapses do not only concern his years of filming, but also some events of his life as a couple, for example, an old trip to Australia. To get back on track, he can count on the precious support of Bryan Cranston, who played the role of Malcolm's father. Bryan Cranston declared that he had made it his duty to revive the memories of his young friend, trying to remind him of episodes of his life, while pointing out to him how lucky and great his life was. We imagine that he had 1,001 very funny anecdotes to evoke, about the years of Malcolm's shootings. His wife, Paige Price, who is a model, also gives him all the help she can. In fact, she even keeps a notebook, where she writes down the important events of their married life, to make sure that in the future her husband will always remember the beautiful moments of love they both experienced. But it must also be said that his mother, who has supported him since he was a child, and who has always been there for him, is of course the person who helps him the most to remedy his disorder. These memory losses do not bother the young actor. He does not even have a complex about it. As he repeats, he feels fulfilled, fully happy, and does not have the impression of having neurological deficiencies at all. According to him, he is mentally in possession of all his means, and is only aware of his weak memory when friends ask him about a rather old past, which bothers him a little. But as far as we know, Frankie Muniz has never done anything to correct this little defect. He did not want to undergo any cognitive rehabilitation programs. Today Frankie just tries to look forward, and live life to the fullest, every moment, without worrying about the negative things. As he explains to People magazine, "I'm just trying to live the best and most fulfilling life I can. I really try to enjoy my time. And I have a lot of it in my life." To sum things up, and put to rest the rumors that exaggerate his ailment, he says, "I've done pretty much everything I've ever wanted to do in my life, but the truth is I don't remember much. I'm happy with my acting career, I'm happy with my decision to drive race cars and focus on music. Even if I don't remember everything, I'm happy." Frankie Muniz must be even happier than ever in recent days, because on March 22, 2021, he saw the birth of his first child, a little boy he named Mouse Mosley. And since this happy event, which will change his life forever, he devotes absolutely all his time to his newborn. This is the end of this video. Did you like it? Tell us in comments. And don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss any of our upcoming content.